be doing another review of all topics. There's mainly just radicals. So this is the content we'll be learning how to add radicals, subtract radicals, multiply radicals, and divide radicals. These are the steps to adding radicals. First, you have to do whatever is on the inside of the radicand, and it must be the same. If the number, then on the outside you can add. If it's not the same, and yeah. Next. So these are our two examples. So if you've noticed for our first example here, our numbers on the radicand are the same. So we just need to write this radicand once. But we also have to add our outside numbers, all of it. So this will be a pretty simple problem. This is essentially what it would look like if you were to simplify it. But now we have to actually add them. So like 6 plus 2 plus 3 will equal 11. And bring back down your radicand with 15 in it. And this is your answer. Because you can't simplify it any further. And now moving on. All the numbers in the radicands are different, but we can simplify these two. So first, we have to find two numbers that can make up 20, which would be 4 and 5. 4 is a perfect square, so it will be 2. And this can be multiplied and with 3 outside originally. Bring your 5 down. 3 times 2 will equal 6, and radicand. So that will be a final. I'm just also going to write down this since you can't simplify it any further. And now on to the third term. You can simplify our 8 because it will be 4 and 2. Radicand. 4 can be simplified further as it's another perfect square. It's 2, but you can't simplify radicand 2 any further, so that would stay in. Now it would be 3 times 2, no, negative 3 times 2, which will give us negative 6. Because you can multiply these two and write down our radicand 2 into the equation with the rest. And this would be our final answer. This is your turn. Pause the video if you need to do them. Now we're going to do subtraction with Ivy.
Okay, now that you learned how to do addition, subtraction is basically the same thing except you're subtracting. So let's do the first problem together. So as you can see, the radicands, which are the numbers inside the radicals, are all the same. So you can just subtract the whole number outside of it. So it's basically 15 minus 6 minus 1. So let's write that out. And this is only if the radicands are the same. So all the radicands here are 2. So 15 minus 6 minus 1, that gives you 8. And you bring down the radical 2. So this would be your final answer, 8 radical 2. But remember, this rule only works if the numbers inside the radicals are the same. Now, if you look at this example, number 2, the radicands are not the same. So we can split them up. So here would be 2 and 2. Here would be 4 and 2. So basically, this is just 4 times 2 is 8. 2 times 2 is 4. We learned this. So So this could be 2. So 13 times 2 would be 26. And then you would just take that radical 2. And here, square root of 4 is 2. So you would do negative 9 times 2, which gives you negative 18. And then you just bring this down because you can't simplify it anymore. So looking at this, we can still simplify this equation because 2 of them are including the same radicand, which is 2. So 26 minus 2 is essentially what it is. So then it'll be 24. But don't forget, you still have that radicand, that radical 2. And then you just bring down the 18 because you can't do that with anything because there's no like terms. So this would be your final answer. Here are some example problems that you guys can try, practice problems that you guys can try. So you can pause the video, and as always, you can contact me or Caitlin and ask for the answer key if you need it. Next, we're going to learn how to multiply radicals with Caitlin.
So the steps to multiplying radicals, you have to distribute or use the FOIL method, which is first, outer, inner, and last, to remove any parentheses if there are any parentheses. The examples I'll be using will have no parentheses, and also the your terms. Simplify the radicals and combine like terms. Next. So this is our first example. How we would do this is that we would just put everything in under one radicand. So we'll keep the 2 outside, but we're gonna write these numbers on the inside with the multiplication symbol. And now we are going to combine our 3 and 6, which will give us 18. Bring down the 2. We're just going to be working with the 18 for now, as this can be simplified. If you were to multiply 9 and 2, and 9 is a perfect square, so this is simplified to 3. And now this would be able to multiply with the 2 outside, but 2 can't be simplified any further, so that this 2 would stay inside. But now we have to go back to all of our variables, which I'll write out. So we have 2 x's. We're going to write the 2 x's under radicand, 3 y's, and 1 z. So if you were to pair these, this will equal to 1x. So this will be written on the outside. Pair 2 y's. This y will be on the outside, but the y left over will be on the inside, and so will this z. So now we basically have to assemble everything. So 2 times 3 will give us 6. Our x and y. Our remaining 2, and now our remaining y and z. And this would be our final answer on this side. Over on this side, this equation, we can simplify both of these radicand terms. So first we would be, 8 would be 4 and 2. Simplify our 4 will give us 2, but this 2 cannot be simplified anymore. And then this term would be simplified with 25 and 2. 25 is a like term, so this would be 5. And now, we have to multiply -4 and 7 first, and that will give us -28. And because we have our simplified perfect squares, you can multiply that as well into our -28. And we still have 2 our remaining 2. So I'm just going to combine our outside numbers, which would give us negative 280. But if you notice that we have our radicands are the same, so we can multiply those to each other, which will give us 4. And this is also a perfect square, so we can simplify this even further with just 2. So it would be negative 280 times 2, which would give us negative 560. Yeah, and this would be our final answer. No radicand. That's just it. Now this is your turn to simplify it. Do them, pause the video if you need it, and now we're going to move on to dividing radicals with I.
Okay, so now that you learn how to multiply, we're doing division with radicals. Okay, so let's get started. Let's do the first practice problem together. So this is going to be 6 radical 24 over 2 radical 6. So you can simplify this further by doing 6 and 4, because 6 times 4 is 24. So radical of 4, so square root of 4 would be 2. So you do 2 times 6, which is 12. And then you take that 6 from here and make it into radical 6. And you put that over here. So 2 radical 6. Because they have the same radicands, which is 6 inside the radical, you can just divide these two. So the final answer would be 6 radical 6. So first you want to see if you can make these into having the same radicands so it's easier to divide. And then once you have the same radicand, you can just divide the outside number from each other. So 12 divided by 2 would be 6, and then you bring down the radical 6. So that's how you do the first problem. Now the second problem, 6 radical 8. So you're not allowed to have a radical on the denominator. So in order to get rid of that, you will multiply the numerator and the denominator by radical 8. Because radical 8 times radical 8 gives you a whole number of 8. And so you have a whole number on the denominator. On the top, you have a 6 radical 8. So this goes for anything. So let's say this was radical 3, you would just multiply it by the same thing. So radical 3 times radical 3 would give you 3. So if you do the multiplication of a radical with the same radicand inside, it just gives you the radicand as the whole number. Now we can simplify this further. So 4 times 2 gives you 8. And the square root of 4 will give you 2. So same thing for here, right? 2 times 6 is 12. So 12, and you bring down that 2 from here. So it'll be 12 radical 2 over 8. And then you could simplify this further by simplifying these two. So you divide both of them by 4. So this will give you 2 and 3. So your final answer will be 3 radical 2 over 2. So that is the final answer for this question. So now you know how to solve for both just regular division and one for if the denominator is a radical. Here's some practice problems you could do on your own. As usual, just email us if you have anything. And the summary of what we did today was we learned how to add radicals, subtract radicals, multiply radicals, and divide radicals. And that is all for today's class, and we will see you on Friday. Bye-bye.
All right.